Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Michael Palasak's podcast. I just got my kid to sleep. I'm Michael Palasak. I kind of introduced that like I was filling in for Michael Palasak, but I'm the real dealio. If you're watching it, then you know. There's no one that like, not that there's no one that people. They say I look like certain people. Who do you think? Who do you think I look like? That's always a good measure of how. Uh, I don't know if attractive is the word or handsome or pretty. If you're, I don't, women can be handsome, but like ask someone you know what famous person they think you look like, and you already know the people in your head that you get, and then whoever they say that lets you know how good looking they think you are versus whether they're messing with you or if they just want you to like them more. Like I get who do I get when people don't care about my feelings? I get man, this is a very visual part of the podcast for people listening. I hope you're listening. Okay, I've got the mic, everything set up. Really good. This is gonna be the best. This is 51, by the way. This doesn't have to be the best episode yet because it's not a year. This is the penultimate anniversary of the podcast of the year. We're not at a year yet. We just did the 50th anniversary of the first episode, the same week as the 50th SNL. It's just crazy how that worked out, you know? Two great entities that have survived the times based on units of measure that you can divide into 50. And anyways, it doesn't have to be the best because it's only 51. 52 is the year. Next week is the year. We got to do the whole year. So also, yeah, it's pretty late here. A lot of reasons, but so I'm going to keep it really calm. So this might be a good one to fall asleep to, unless you're driving. Don't fall asleep. They always say that when you're a parent, that sleep when the kid sleeps, sleep when the baby sleeps. That's what they say, unless you're driving. They should add that in there. They don't say that. They sleep when the baby sleeps. Oh, there's ice in here. I didn't know there was going to be ice in here. That's a surprise. Because first it's like, oh, there's something floating in here. And it's like, oh, that's nice. It's like a little nice surprise. It was a good surprise. And I made it myself, so I knew it was ice. It wasn't like I was just like, I don't trust whoever put this thing in there, hiding it as ice. Ice can't really pretend to be something it's not. It's clear. Well, it's not really clear. It's ice colored, right? Like Gatorade ice is like not clear. You can't. Cloudy. Ice is cloudy colored. Clouds are, I guess, white. If clouds are white, then ice is white. But sometimes you can, okay, this is great. So whoever your friends say you look like is how they think of you. I guess when it comes to physical attraction, I guess. So I get when people don't care about my feelings. No, like if I do a show and in a city where nobody knows me, and someone comes up to me that's never seen me before, a lot of times I get people have thought that I was him, which he's older, but still, it's not like he's a bad looking man. But the guy from Stewie from Mad TV, and I don't. They always say Stewie from Mad TV, but I don't know if they mean that character or the actor. I prefer the actor because the character. Is he a baby? I don't think he's like in a diaper, but he's like a little kid and his cheeks are rosy. My cheeks are a little rosy, I guess. And he's like, look what I can do. And then he does the thing. And I was just referencing, I'm not trying to take that guy's catchphrase, but people say that I look, that's like, it's not a bad one. But when people say you look like a sketch comedy character, that's not someone who's trying to make you feel good. You know, that's them being excited about something without concerning with your feeling. You know, you can just keep that one to yourself. You look like a little child that, not even a real little child, but I guess it's better to not look like a real little child. Anyway, I get Michael McDonald, who I've worked with before. Very nice guy. I didn't really get that we looked like each other at the time, but as I grew older, I grew into looking like a child. That's what I did. So that's like a lower one. Tom Green a long time ago. I feel like I don't remember now. I think it's mostly Michael McDonald. I don't even know if there's one person leaving a show one time said I was like a better looking Adam Levine, which I was like, well, he's already better looking. So I think flattery will get you everywhere. That's like someone who may be trying to flirt with you in a non-negging way. The negging people said would do the McDonald thing. The people who neg. And then I think, let's see, anybody else? Oh, I used to get this is also not the guy, the swimming guy. Here's how unpopular Michael Phelps swimming is. Like, nobody ever thought I looked like Michael Phelps until he had to win like 8 gold medals or whatever it was that year before he was big enough for me to look like him. Like, he was already, a world-class Olympic swimmer, but it wasn't until that one. That's when I started getting Michael Phelps a lot. And which was interesting because people, when I was younger, I was kind of I don't know if I was socially awkward. I would just be quiet in social situations. I remember a couple times people would be like, "Are you high?" Which is kind of crazy because I wasn't, and people kind of knew I didn't even drink in high school, but they would be like, "You look like you're high," which I didn't even know how people knew who people looked when they were high because I didn't even know anybody was doing. I grew up in a small town. We got drug tested. It was a very sheltered environment. But anyways, they would say that. And then Michael Phelps got in trouble for it. And I was like, I think I've always kind of read a little high. Some people have said that I should take a test for autism. Who knows? And then who else? There was another one. That Adam Levine one we'll just go with. So there was one time, there was a streak where The Office was big, where people would be like, because I had like a longer hair. But then other people were like, you don't look like him. So I think that was one of the things where people would maybe in those years, if someone was on like a romantic situation, like we went on a date or something, they were kind of wishing that I looked like him. But I don't think I looked like it. Also, he's really tall, that I heard. Not that I'm sure. Drew Brees, which that's like, he had a big mole right here. He got, not that, I'm sure there's no reason to bring that. He's one of the best passers of our time. Eli Manning. I could take Eli Manning and I think, I don't know if we look alike, but we were both, I don't know if he's a middle child, but the younger one. And younger, I would say less successful. He won 2 Super Bowls. And I got a podcast. Anyways, that's a fun little measure. Ask people who you look like. And then you can tell, or maybe that's just me projecting, It does seem like when people are laughing at me, they say Stewie from Mad TV. And when they're like excited about something, they say somebody else. The nicest one I think I ever got was a cartoon character. I know it's not, but it was the Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man Spider-Verse movie where there's like a bunch of Spider-Mans, not Spider-Pig. I don't look like Spider-Pig. I think it would be cool to look like some sort of cartoon animal though. That'd be fun. The Spider-Man who's like the down and out one, who's voiced by Jake Johnson. And he was drawn to look like, I have the unshaven look. Anyway, I'll take it. I need to get a haircut. This is the part of the episode where I just talk about physical appearance, I guess. But yeah, it is a little later. Jack is asleep. We had a situation tonight. He was fine, but we had to leave the house and go do a thing. And I'm covering my mouth a lot. I don't. I feel like sometimes when I want to speak and seem like I have everything together, I'll touch my face when really it just looks like, why is that guy touching his face? I feel like when people touch their face, they just keep it there and then they just maintain whatever stare. And then you're like, wow, they're really lost in the moment. They're appreciating me. I'm just like, we had to leave the house. Man, he's got a full house, right? Poker. I have a bad poker face. We're playing cards and I'm just like, I'll raise. Ooh. Get out of the game right now. That's my thing. So we had to leave the house. We had to. A doctor informed us everything's fine. And it wasn't with him or me. But we had to go do a thing. And it was later. Like we were ready for bed. But we went to go do a thing that we had to do. And everyone's fine. And it was a judgment call. It wasn't like I have to do a thing. Now that I'm not sharing it, it just sounds like a whole bigger thing. Well, who cares? So... And we were out later, and but we were all right. We were like laying down to bed, and we came back in after this thing, and he was like, all right, now we need to play video games and eat dinner, because that's what we do when we come home normally, which I shouldn't have done the play video games thing. I never initiated it. This is my excuse as a parent. It's the kid's fault. He asked. He, as a young child, he initiated it, and I was like, well, this is the thing, and it's the thing. We play together. It's like a screen far away. I read something. Who read something? I get a newspaper delivered, so I read that sometimes. I read the headlines. And no, I saw an Instagram reel about parenting, how like when the kid holds the screen in his hands, that's when there's a problem, because he's holding it in his hands. But it's like, if you're far away doing the Wii, it's so far, you know? Anyways, we beat Bowser today. Not a big deal. Mario Galaxy 2. Any recommendations for Wii games? I don't have Switch money. I said that before. We're working on it though. I sold a lot of shirts this weekend. So we call that phone. So we had to go to this thing, and I know he doesn't really ever play with my phone that much. Only like in situations, you know, like we had to go to the emergency room, not for us. I couldn't leave him with someone, and I had to be there. And no babies. It's all good. Babies don't get born in the emergency room, hopefully. But we got into the emergency, and it wasn't even a real hospital. It was like, I typed in hospital into Google Maps. Google Maps, who's usually, perfect on locations. I knew there was a hospital that was like a real hospital closer, or at least like a hospital. But this was the one that came up, and the doctor was like, go to the closest one. And there's no reason to do that. And so we went to this one, and there was like a super small waiting room. It was basically like a urgent care that called itself an ER for people who probably need that for insurance purposes. I don't know. Who am I to be skeptical right now? But we get in there, and Jack's a kid. We know that, right? And he's being loud on purpose because the person we're with isn't supposed to fall asleep, which is a great mission to give a child. If not that this is what happened, but if someone ever has a head injury and they're not supposed to fall asleep, get a 5 or 6 year old on it. Like, he had a flashlight in their eyes, and then like the flashlight when we were driving like rolled under the seat. So now he's just screaming, and it was really cool as a parent because that was his job, and I like to embrace his intuition, his instincts, and medically they were right on. It was like 10 at night, well 10:30 by the time. But it was like, he was like, that's when I got to say outside voices, because that's what we say, because we're always telling kids to do inside voices, and I think we should celebrate when we get to do outside voices. Even when the truth really is that a lot of people who are for inside voices aren't going to be happy about outside voices either. Just because you're outside, you can still bother people, but they can't regulate it. And that's why recess is necessary and should be implemented multiple times into every school day. When I was in elementary school, the first one I went to in a bigger city, we had like one recess. It was just one, and I'd feel like I wasn't smart. I didn't learn as much. It was a bigger school. It was just not a thing. I don't remember having like a lunch recess. We had lunch, but then we moved to a smaller town, and we got to play before school outside. We had a morning recess of 15 minutes. We had a lunch, then we had an afternoon recess. We were like union school kids. That's what we had. Breaks built into that. And I learned so much. I was so much smarter than I was before. Either that or the competition was lower, but it was a thing. When I worked in a union job, we had 2 breaks and a lunch, and that's what we got at school. And I think kids should get that. My niece was telling me how she's just sitting at her desk for like 4 hours. I'm like, people don't get paid to sit at their desk for 4 hours. Like, that's crazy. That's a lot. Anyway, what was I even talking about? That's another good name for this podcast. What was I even talking about? I feel like that's a little bit too much on the head. It hits it on the head. So anyway, Jack is doing a great job of being loud, and we're in the emergency room waiting room, and there are some people who are really enjoying the whole thing. There are some people there that are just laughing at this 5-year-old keeping this person awake, who didn't have a head injury, but they were supposed to be awake, and ended up being fine. Everyone's fine, and I'm not just saying that, they really are. It's fine. But then there's like one guy who had no shoes on. That was my first tip, was like, maybe this isn't the hospital to land at. I've been to hospitals, and I know sometimes you don't hit the one that you should be at. and he had no shoe. He had socks. So I guess, do socks count when for restaurants? I don't think hospitals have rules like that. And no socks guy was very angry, and I don't even harbor any ill will against it. He even like used profanity, which I was like, that was almost like a good moment to confront him in front of my child, not in front, but about. But I was like, he has an emergency right now, and so I gave Jack my phone, and he played with it, and they got to play with it on the way home. To the point where I think that no matter what happens in our life, that if I'm like, hey Jack, we gotta do this thing. Oops, that's my leg moving that. But you can play with my phone. He'd be like, all right. I need to probably worry about it later. I can't think of any good examples that would be sad right now. But we gotta go donate all of your toys. You can play with my phone. Okay, Dad. No, he's not a big donator. I heard the Dalai Lama said one time, one of them, maybe it was, no, I think it was the Dalai Lama, said that if you have a thing and you don't feel, this is the Dalai Lama quote of the episode of the whole podcast. I don't think we've quoted the Dalai Lama yet. Man, I need to really be more Zen. I don't know if Zen people worry about quoting the Dalai Lama. They're just in it, you know? Buddhism seems like a good act. Did you know that this is religious, but I take a theology class in college, and there are people that are one religion, and they're also Buddhism, because Buddhism is like a way of life that sort of fits all the religions. It's sort of just like centering. This is what I've heard. Maybe not all religions, but there's some. You can be both. Anyway, the Dalai Lama said that if you have a thing, like everyone's like, you got to get rid of stuff, you got to purge, you got to get rid of this thing. And as a parent, I can tell you that there's a lot of stuff in my apartment, and I got to put it in a container and put it away because it's just out, you know? But Jack doesn't seem to mind, but I'll feel it out, you know? That's why I like when he plays with toys over video games, because I feel like then the things that exist in our world are earning their keep, you know? Because I want him to play with toys as long as he can. I feel like it's very engaging, you know? It's a lot of independent play. He doesn't really let me play with toys with him. I think I could initiate it, but he kind of likes just doing it. And I think it's good. But I think you gotta not have so many toys out. Anyway, he's not a big donate, like anything. He's not. And the Dalai Lama, I think my son, he's not the Dalai Lama, but like younger children might be more attuned with this. The Dalai Lama said that if you have a thing in your life and you look at it and you don't want to get rid of it, you don't want to give it away, then you shouldn't. You shouldn't just give all your stuff away. I mean, that's Dalai Lama moment. That's what he said. That's what the Dalai said. Anyway, so now we're back. Now we're back to the podcast. And yeah, Jack's asleep. But we came in and he was like, play video games, eat dinner. And I was like, I tried to feel it out, you know, because sometimes in those moments, you don't know what they went through, right? This whole evening, I was like, this might show up later in his life, you know? There's no reason a 5 or 6 year old should have to be given the job of keeping an adult awake for medical purposes. It was just the way I thought that would be good to utilize his skills. But looking back, I think I could have just been like, hey, you got to come because I can't get a sitter and we have to go do this thing. And I think, you know, we'll see. But I was like, we're not going to play video games. It's like, we're going to eat. I'm like, we already ate dinner. You know what we ate. And I told him all the things we ate. And then he was like, he just went to his bedroom and then he fell asleep. So win for Dad. Yeah. People are probably like, dude, that's duh. Put him to sleep whenever. But anyway, I feel it out sometimes. Because sometimes you can force the kid to do something, but you can't force him to do it. You know, these are my excuses. Yeah, you can lead a kid to a bed, but you can't force them to drink water. Why would a horse not want to drink water? Anyway, yeah. So today is the podcast day. I'm doing my podcast. This is I just got my kid to sleep. Episode 51. It doesn't have to be the big one. It's not even a year yet. A year ago today, nothing was happening. There was nothing. A year ago this week, nothing was going on. 51 weeks ago, Nothing related to the podcast. Maybe not even by the mic. I had the mic all right. There's all the things I had. It's fine. There was no historical. Now next week, man, we can walk through how that was. I got a lot of clicks on that first episode. I feel like that was my big chance, to really get some ground in the podcast game, and it kind of, but things dip. I'm not a professional. Well, I don't know who's. No, I'm not. But there's on TikTok. This is TikTok of the day. TikTok of the day. Who's for the songs? So there's a TikTok where a whole account where they take clips of podcasts that are just people like saying nothing, basically. Like one girl was being like, when you marry someone, they become your family. And then it cuts to the podcast crew and they're just like, take off their headphones and put all their stuff away. And they're like, this isn't a podcast, just basically being like, not everybody should have a podcast. If you're listening to this one, I feel like if you made it 21 minutes or 51 episodes, we're on the same page with this art. Some podcasts are educational or informational art. But I feel like I for a second I was like, I looked to see, like, I'm sure I definitely have things in my podcast that could be like cut out and made to be that. But then I was like, there's no way that they've seen it. So that's a good thing, of that. Well, you're not big enough. You can't really get made fun of. But being made fun of helps you, grow maybe. Like one time during the pandemic, I did a Zoom show at a college. And this famous YouTuber like hacked in it. I don't know how. Maybe I did set it up. I'm not good at that. I think I was just like, who cares about a password? It's a show for the kids. But this YouTuber like hacked in, and then he started heckling me during the Zoom show, and I couldn't tell because it's Zoom. So I kind of thought he was maybe disabled, not in a good place where you want to like make fun of him mentally stable wise. It's not that I say that as if like I would have something, but it's like when someone's heckling you in your show, and maybe people don't know this, it's not really the comedian's responsibility to handle. The club handles it, the room handles it, and then really there's not much you have to do. They're saying something that's not expected, and then you just react. But I didn't want to like, I don't know, I was really confused. But then they like clipped it and they put it on the internet, and then I had a high school friend that said her kids saw it. It was as if it was like they saw me on the Tonight Show, and I was like, no, I hated that kid. I've been on like shows that celebrate what I do now. People hacking into it to just ask on like questions during things that don't need questions. Anyway, that was that. And last weekend was really good. This paper just says transition now. But that's what I was thinking about my podcast. I don't have a crew that has to sit through this. I know people interview people at podcasts or like have a partner, and I have inanimate objects. And those are good. It's only a little bit of time, and also you guys are here, right? Like, how are you? I notice people do that. How are you doing? But I don't want to drag anybody through this thing unless they want to. Like, if I had a podcast with another person and then it was like a little dip, I'd be like, you should get out while you still can. But this is nice. That's all me. So I was in Wisconsin. No, I wasn't. Iowa, and then Minneapolis. The other good part about my podcast, where it is, I can do stuff on here that I might think of later as like a joke to do on stage, and I don't have to worry about very many people ever hearing it before. So, and not everybody has that. Anyway, I was in Iowa and then Minnesota. And Minnesota's so lucky to have soda in their name. Do they call it pop there or soda? That would be soda. I was a pop kid. So do with what you will. I feel like I believe in that more than I do in like astrological signs, Like, when were you born? What's your sign? I'm a Cancer. It's not a big deal. We're very sensitive. But like, I think more like, did you call it pop or soda or a Coke? Pop? All right. Midwest, probably. Cool. Soda sounds a little country. All right. I get who you are, you know? Coke, what are you? Like an 80-year-old grandma? Who does that? Like, I feel like that's my astrological sign. It is weird that it's such a common beverage and we all call it something different in the same country, you know? Like England has that with us, but they're across an ocean, you know? Canada spells the word color not wrong, differently, like the English do. Like there's different things, but there's another country, you know? In the United States, some people call it soda and some people call it pop. There's a thing called soda pop. I just feel like soda is like a kind of pop, like red cream soda, something else soda, and Coke is like a Coke, but pop just covers it all. That's my excuse. Anyway, so I was in Iowa. I don't know what they call it there, in a town called. Oh no, I moved the mic. That could change everything. What are you doing? Stay where you are. I was in a town. I don't remember where I was. Betancourt? No, that's not it. Davenport. Davenport. And if you're at the show, then, you know, you can keep listening if you want, but you're going to know what happened already because you were there. And I probably didn't need to explain that, but I just wanted to know ahead of time, you to know ahead of time that I'm aware that you might be listening now because I mentioned it after my show. And you might know what I'm going to say before I say it. And I don't want you to feel like, is this what the podcast is? You know? Even though I don't recommend stopping because I don't even know how long this is going to go for this part. So that's where. Anyway, we were in Davenport, Iowa, which I forgot what it was, but it's one of the Quad Cities. There's 4 cities. There's Davenport, and then there is 3 more cities. And they're all on, there's 2 on the Iowa side of the river and 2 on the Illinois, Moline, Illinois, and Rock Island, Illinois. And maybe it's Bettendorf or Bettencourt is the 4th. I don't know. But I was doing my set, and this show was all preset lighting and sound wise. I never sound check. I never light check because I was opening for my friend Kathleen Madigan, and who's also like, you know, a hugely successful, famous, funny comedian. We're friends since. I didn't know her before. Just a little backstory. So I get on stage. I'm doing my set, and it's a Thursday night, and I feel it from the crowd a little. They're a little quieter, and also it's my first show of the week. We're warming up together. All of a sudden, the lights just come on really bright on the stage, and then they go off, and then they go back on again, and Jody, who is the manager of the tour, told me later that she went straight to the light guy and she's like, "What's going on?" And he was like laughing, and he was like, "The lighting board flaked out," which, you know, for having 4 cities so close to each other, not a lot of technical capabilities. It's not just Davenport. There's 4 cities they're drawing from. We did one show for 4 cities, and this is the lightboard guy who's laughing at us. Anyway, that was that. And then we drove. I stayed at a hotel. Well, I got there, and this is a really old hotel. And there was a hotel room for me there. We were driving because of the shows in Minneapolis the next night. But I had a choice. I could like drive or I could stay the night. And the hotel is really nice or whatever. But then as I'm talking to people about the hotel, they're like, "Oh yeah, people died on the 8th floor and they renovated and whatever, and it's haunted." And I was just like, "Well, I'm not staying, you know." That happened before in that town. There's an old mansion where you can do a show. And the guy that booked me, my friend Chris, very nice guy, who was at the show, he was like, "Yeah, you can stay here. It's haunted if you like that. Otherwise, it's not." And I'm just like, well, now, first off, if I like that it's haunted, good. But who wants to sleep where it's haunted? You know, like, I don't know. I guess ghost hunters, but I'm a comedian. Chris knows I'm a comedian. He booked me to do comedy stuff. He didn't book me because I wanted to find ghosts. So he's like that. And I'm just like, well, I'm not staying. But who's like, if they're not a ghost person, gonna just be able to forget what you said, you know? Hey, you can stay at the mansion for free. It's haunted. Unless you don't like that, then it's not. Like, oh, I'm gonna believe that what you're saying was true because there's no way for you to prove me wrong. Because if we don't see any ghosts while I'm there, I'll just be like, they were being polite that week or whatever. Anyways, for the record, I like not believing, but also being, I gotta sneeze. Oh, that was a lot of dead time. That's why you need a co-host, so they could like talk through that whole thing. It was just like a big build up and then a double or anyway, my son told me at his school that no one ever says bless you. And that's why he wants to go to a different school next year. And he has to go to a different school next year because he's in the oldest grade of his school. But I was just like, I think we should always say something, you know? If we know that a lot of people, I look over here sometimes as if I'm thinking, but I can think without looking over there. If we know, okay, I need to get close to the camera and really make for emphasis. But this is set up good angle-wise. So if we know that people say something after we sneeze, I'm going to try it anyway. If we know that people say something when we sneeze, if we know that, if that's pretty accepted, and you don't, who are you? You know? You don't say bless you. You can say God bless you. You can say, I heard people say gesundheit. I think it would be nice if you don't want to do either of those to be like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like it could be really fun to pretend like not to know what a sneeze was. Like someone sneezes like, oh my, do you need to go to the doctor? That would be kind of rude. But maybe something like, do you need a Kleenex? Do you need a second? Anyway, who's your emergency contact? Something just spit out from your body. You know? I'm gonna move it closer now. But I feel like with that really worked to move closer for the emphasis on that statement. Anyway, he says people don't say God bless. Everyone everywhere says planes. Sometimes if it's far away, people don't. I feel weird saying bless. You know, like someone's like a couple rows in front, and then and they sneeze, and then I say bless you. I feel like there's kind of a sense of like, don't listen to me. You know, I feel like on planes, you just kind of assume that what happens in your area, people should respect is only happening in your area. You know, like don't listen in on my sneezes, please. Chew, bless you. What is that, 10 rows back? Keep it to yourself. Thank you. No, always thank or bless you. That's great. Thank you. And then someone gets to say thank you. That's another thank you out there today that didn't get out there. How about that? You know? The one place I never hear people say bless you is church. I could see, because I guess you're not supposed to talk. Or maybe people just don't want to tell God what to do in his own house. Like we're saying God bless you all the time, but in church, God will do it on his own, right? That's 2 religious mentions. Anything else we got about religion? Going to the list. Mr. Beast is on YouTube. That's not the YouTube guy. He's a big famous guy, and he did a thing during the NBA All-Star game where a normal person that was picked out from the crowd by someone he hired got to shoot. Oh man, maybe I gotta find a location. I brag about how the easiest location is, but things just fall over. Who got to shoot like a logo shot, which is a 3-pointer not just from the 3-point line, but from the logo, which is further away. And he had to make one before Damian Lillard, who's a really good shooter, made 3. And he did it, and he got, I think, $10,000. Maybe I think it might have been 100. That's a big difference. I should look that up. We're going to do a Google time. Yeah, this is the song for when we do a search that we should have done before the show. If we had prepared halftime of the All-Star game. All-Star game 2024. It wasn't a halftime. There was like 4 games. And it was $100,000. So the fan won $100,000. But like, this is the first time I've ever seen them do it. And, they were running out of time because Damian Lillard made like 2 and the kid hadn't made any. And I could kind of tell that like Damian Lillard was like, I'm not going to take $100,000 from this child. Cause like he just kept missing them. And the kid, maybe he wasn't a kid. He's probably like in his 20s, but he was coming pretty close. You know, they vetted a little bit. You could tell. Maybe they didn't, But he just kept missing them, and then the kid finally made it, and everyone went crazy, and it was great for whoever. But then during the game, like Lillard was hitting threes, and it was just like boom, boom. It's like, yeah, he can do that. He can do that. Maybe it was real. It just seems like Mark Twain once said, a Mark Twain quote. I'm trying to really push these songs. That one I didn't even commit to that hard. Mark Twain once said that real life is harder to believe than fiction. He didn't say that. He said something like that. You know how like when you're writing fiction and you're saying, and someone's like, this isn't believable. And you're like, but it really happened. That's what he's saying. It's like things that happen in life aren't necessarily believable, but fiction should be within the world that you've established. See, there's my English major. We can write that education off tax-wise. All right, so we covered the Mr. Beast halftime NBA, $100,000 to that kid. I don't know. People always say, like, if you win a lot of money like that, everyone's going to know that you had them. But you don't, like, walk away from the stadium with $100,000. No one's going to, like, take it. I'd want to get it wired. That's how I would want to get it. Ear hair. I had a big, long ear. You can't really see it. Big, long ear? No, just the hair attached to my ear. But it's clear, so I got rid of it still. My son threw applesauce in the car. Not today. He was great, but he did. And I feel like I kind of liked that he expressed himself that way because I got to be like, hey, we don't do that, you know? And so I got to be like, hey, no. I was like, why did you do that? And he was like, well, I wanted you to get it to throw it away. And I was like, that's not what we do. Do we do that? No. I really got to be a parent. You know, I like the black and white, clear cut. Yeah, he would finish his packet of applesauce and he tossed it because of some other reason he was upset about. And he doesn't usually do that. So I was like, no. Anyways, that was good to share. I have a friend who, I'm Catholic, and they're also Catholic, and they also started talking about UFOs. And I was like, I think you got to pick one. Not that UFOs and what you believe in religion can't exist together, but I think if I know you believe in one, then we can't talk about the others. It's just you can have both in your mind, but I've already taken one leap with you, one faith. I feel like there's a little bit that goes down in my believing your judgment if you've got like two things that are not really related but could be real. Like, you know, you get three in there. So, did you go to mass today? Yeah, I go to church. Oh, there's a UFO. Did you see it in the sky? No, that's a cloud. No, it's a big cloud. Also, I heard Bigfoot is out. It's just like I'll still be your friend, but like, this is the religion episode, I guess. I feel like religion is such a leap, you know? I know if you are religious, you go to church or not. It's not supposed to be really, but also I'm Catholic, so it can be, you know? There's a whole saint that doubted. So I feel like that's like the thing that you can't prove that you believe in. Do you ever take a step back if you are religious and just look at everything and see everything and just be like, ooh, if I didn't grow up in this, I might say that these people should not be running schools and stuff. But the message is good. Anyway, the message is not always. Hopefully, a religion is good if you took out the religious part and just looked at the message and it was good, then it's probably good. Why am I talking about hard things? I learned what SUNY was. I didn't even learn it. I just kind of remembered it and I was happy for myself. So SUNY is a college in New York and there's a bunch of them. And I realized that it stands for State University New York. Yeah. So I wanted to share that. Oh, these are really good. So these are some travel tips. These are some really good travel tips for you. And maybe I'll break these down for the gram to Instagram. I'm on Instagram at Michael Palasek. So Instagram is a social media account. If you're just watching this on YouTube, you might not ever need to go there. It used to be all pictures and now it's videos too, because I don't know. It's not really a rebranding. You can still do pictures, but anyway, so I'm not going to define Instagram anymore. That's not what's happening the rest of this podcast. So I got to cross this UFO Catholic thing out. I don't want to do the UFO Catholic thing twice. It is kind of interesting though. Like if you go to church with somebody and then you like talk about what you believe. If you're Catholic, you believe that Jesus was born like the Son of God. And then they're like, look at these UFOs. It's just like, whoa, I didn't know I was one of those people, you know? Anyway, Sunni, we got that in. So I thought these are good tips for traveling. So this first one is real. Like this is like life-changing in the sense that it could save you seconds, which if you travel a lot could turn out to be minutes. So, you know how you get your hotel key in one of those cards, right? I'm miming it. I don't have one with me. It's like a cardboard card. How do you get it? How do you get into your apartment? No. How do you get in your hotel room? Show me right now. Unless you're driving, don't show me. Yeah, you take the key out of the thing. Did you know? Maybe you already knew this. Did you know? A travel tip. That was a little more commit, but it was still short. I feel like some of these songs could be longer if we're going to put out an album for the holidays. So you took the key out of the car. Did you know, at least at the hotel I was staying at, not the haunted one. I don't know if it was haunted. You can just put the whole cardboard thing up again. You don't need to take it out. What? You gotta be kidding me. No, Michael, shut up. Shut up right now. No. How? No. Try it. I know some of you might be so tempted to go stay at a hotel tomorrow just to see if it works. But I would wait for financial purposes to make sense. Or for travel. But I was at this hotel and I had a bunch of things in my arms. And it was one of those elevators that you have to like put the key up there because they don't want it to be easy to get DoorDash. And so I put it on there and it just worked through. I don't even know what took me over. Turn it off. I don't even know what possessed me. Who am I to look at this card that they gave me? I just thought that card was a holder. I thought it was there to hold, but apparently it also allows the card, whatever's going through that card, to go all the way through and get read by the key reader on the hotel room. Now tell me that you can't believe in UFOs as a religion now. Like, there's something in this world that you can't even see that's opening a door. Anyways, that would be a good... I would like people always kind of give the people that go to your door and talk about religion a hard time. I think it'd be funny, interesting if they were really like pulling out everyday things. Cell phones. You can't see that. What's going on? Anyway, but it works. You don't have to take your key out anymore. But I would take it out once you get in your room because you don't want your key to be lost with your holder because then someone could find it and then break in your hotel room and either steal your stuff or like surprise you if they're a friend but in a scary way or something bad. So you should not do it. But the before you get in there, you can do it. Or you can like put it back in to like get to really do it. Anyway, that was a good idea. That was one travel tip. And then another travel tip is you don't ever have to buy pop or soda at an airport if you're going to be there for a layover like less than an hour, unless you like really, really need it, because they sell it at the airport. They sell it for a lot of money at every store. But when you get on the plane, they have all of it for free. Every airlines gives you free pop or soda or Coke, except like Spirit. So if you're flying a discount airlines where they charge for drinks, like Spirit, Frontier, or a couple others. But if it's like a normal, like the old school, like Delta, United, Southwest gives multiple drinks. They'll give you pop or so. If it's a long, you're like, well, I want a whole one, you know? Well, if it's a long flight, they'll give you a whole one. Also, another tip, you can just ask for two. Or just ask for the whole. What are they going to say? Hey, look at me. It's okay. It's okay. What's the worst that they could say? What is the No, you took your shot. And I don't think they're going to. Yeah. You can get a whole can of Coke. Now, they're going to want you to finish it before, like, you can't take it out into the airport, but if you pour it into something, you can, if you have a little drink container. So I thought about that recently because I was in the airport and I wanted something to drink, and I've been drinking Coke lately because it kind of got me out of the hospital. Not recently. It's an old episode. I went to the hospital. I had food stuck and they're putting medicine, and I went to Disney and I took up too big of a bite of a turkey leg. This isn't an ad for Disney, and they're not paid sponsorship. I don't know if I like touching this all the time. I think I kind of like it. What's going on here? Why is that like that? Oh, it's like this. There we go. Okay, there we go. And then the doctor was like, we're gonna have to, maybe sedate you. But then she gave me some Coca-Cola. Anyways, now I drink it every day. When I fly on Spirit, I mentioned that people give it a hard time. What I like about flying on Spirit though is a couple things. Here's my take on the discount airlines. Almost all of them, you can't lean back. And I was told by someone who flies a lot when I first started flying that this is not be divisive. That's why I put it near the end of the podcast. It's not over. Don't get sad. But that the exact quote was, you can tell a lot about a person who leans their chair back in coach. It wasn't even like don't lean back or do lean back. The quote from the business person who travels a lot was like, you can tell a lot about an individual who reclines in coach. And I never reclined in coach again, unless there was no one behind me or like a kid, or like I kind of fell asleep and did it by accident. I try to be very, I don't know, what's it called? There's not a lot of room back there sometimes, like if you want to do work on your laptop, that's why they call it business class. Cause then you have room to open up your laptop. Like back in the back of some of those flights, it's like, what are we doing? So, yeah, on economy, like the cheap ones, like Spirit, you can't even lean back. So that's fair. I like fairness. I like not paying for stuff I don't need. And then the other thing was, when I buy a snack on Spirit, it feels like a real snack, Like on some of the flights, they just throw out all this food, and that it's a promotional food. Some of them are like you've never heard of before. Like Southwest used to have Oreos. That's a real food, Now they don't. They had brownie brittle bark, which was like the best part of a brownie is when it's soft. You just took the word brownie, attached it to this hard sweet, and was like, this is dessert. Enjoy. No, some of it's good. Some there's the little waffle things. Those are good. Those are on Delta, I think, or United. And yeah, I just think with the way air travel's going, that they should have better food, because I'm not gonna finish that sentence. But yeah, that's what I like about Spirit is you buy the snack and already it tastes better because you got to choose it. You wouldn't have bought it if you don't like it a little bit, unless you're like starving. And food when you're starving tastes good no matter what. So, boom. That's better. Where'd my marker go? I was going to mark that off. Exclamation points. Oh, this was a big, we'll save that one for next time. You're like, what? I know, it's almost next time. So, I had some DoorDash stuff to my hotel recently, and DoorDash is like this delivery service and of food or whatever. And the hotel didn't let the person bring it up. And it was the hotel right by the airport in Denver. It was like attached to the airport. So I was like, how are they going to find it? And then the lady at the front desk was like, oh, just go here and here and here. But then the guy got there and he was just like, where are you at? And he would show me pictures of things that were like the airport. And I'm like, no, I'm at the whole thing goes. Here's how the thing goes. He kind of finally figures out where I'm going to be. And he messages me. And then I say, thanks. And I put an exclamation point. And thanks. And he said, easy. And I could see it was translated. Like that wasn't even the original word he used to condescend to my overeager support of his efforts to find me. Easy. Like, who are you? You know? I think that if someone uses an exclamation point in a text, then I just look at it as like, oh, they want me to know that they're excited to communicate. Because have you, internet world, ever gotten a message from someone without an exclamation point? Sure. We all have. And you can read it a couple different ways, you know? Like if someone's like, do you want to get dinner? And another person says yes, and there's no exclamation point. If someone says yes with an exclamation point, it's like, yes! That means I want to have dinner with you, and I'm super amped you asked, and I'm hungry. I didn't buy any snacks on Spirit, and I wasn't able to fall asleep because my seat doesn't recline. And but if someone's like, you want to get dinner? And someone's like, yes, period. That could mean like, yes, I do. And I also love you and want to be with you forever, if it's like a date thing. Or it can mean like, yes, I guess so. Why would you ask? Haven't you realized that I don't return your texts all the way on time right after you text me? I'm always later. When are you going to get the picture that I'm just talking to you because I feel bad that you're talking to me all the time? Yes, I'll get dinner. But I also might cancel pretty soon because something else might come up. So that might not have been the best example, but like, it's kind of what I'm thinking, you know? Like if there's no exclamation point, then I have to read in the context of it. And I guess that's what emojis are for. Every point I make is worthless. Worthless! No, it's not worthless. It's just no one uses emojis. I use emojis on their own. Sometimes afterward. I guess it's what... I don't know. I guess that's why people do emoji. That's just... You don't have to use an exclamation point. You just put emojis, put a smiley for people. Why would I? So stupid. So stupid. But that's what I'm saying. Is that when someone doesn't use an exclamation point, then I got to read wherever our relationship's at into the text. And depending on my mood, I don't need those options, you know? I don't need to be that needy of like, why did they not use an exclamation? So if I am using an exclamation point, that just means that and you're like going out of your way to like get me food in the middle of the night. But what's weird is like translated to like easy or calm down. Like I don't even know what the original Spanish word, like loser. Like I don't even know what he was trying to say. Anyway, this weekend I am not on the road. I'm home for my one weekend off in February. No one ever says February. They say February. February. Isn't that how you spell it? How do you spell February? I bet people do say February. I'm just being a little difficult. February. In February, we went to the library. So I'm off next weekend. I will be on Wednesday in Charlotte, North Carolina, Thursday in, I knew this one. I knew it and I forgot it already. Greenville, South Carolina on Friday and Saturday. I'll be in Greensboro, North Carolina on Thursday and Atlanta, Georgia on Sunday. So if you want to come see me in any of those cities, if you live in those cities, you don't have to come to the cities. And then the next weekend I'll be, I think, in Escondido, California. And then I'll be in, here's my calendar. I just went away. Where did it go? Come on. You gotta be kidding me. Where did it go? Escondido, California. And then I'll be in Lexington, Kentucky for that. And then I'll be great. Oh, here it is. Yeah, that was right. Whew, I thought I lost. Youngstown, Ohio. East Lansing, Michigan's kind of sold out. Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Boonton, New Jersey. Stamford, Connecticut. San Jose. Tracy, California. Then it's Easter. We're not working on Easter with all this religious. Albuquerque, Santa Fe. A lot of podcasts, they put them up early. I like to put them up later because, then it's not just like, come see my show. Ridgeway, Colorado. Texas City, Texas. I didn't even know there was a Texas City, Texas. Tyler, Texas. San Antonio, Texas. Corpus Christi, Texas. Elgin, Illinois. That's the theater. Elgin, Illinois. I'm doing a theater. Box Elder, South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and yeah, Tulsa, McKinney, Jacksonville, Florida. All right. Thanks everybody for listening to this. I appreciate it. Any questions in the comments below, or send me a message. I love you. Good night. Bye.